What up? What up? What up? What's going on, everybody out there in podcast land? Welcome to episode 31 of Generations of the Game podcast. Yes, we're back. We are back. Yes, we are. Of course, I got my co-pilot alongside me, Will. Will, what's up, man? Say what's up to the people, brother.
What's good, JP? What's up, world? Episode 30. Steph like Curry.
Oh, we're episode 30. My bad. I said 31, like Reggie Miller. My bad.
Oh, yeah. Bruh, that's crazy. Well, while we waiting on my man JP to come back, we got a prestigious guest, friend of the show, and most importantly, my dog, hoops writer Nick Andre. What's good, Nick?
What's good with you, bro, man? I'm glad to be back on, man. I know I was supposed to come on about a couple weeks ago with you guys and Kev, man. I wasn't able to make it, so I definitely had to make it up to y'all, man. But I'm glad to be on, man. Let's talk some basketball.
Oh yeah, honestly, man, I think while we waiting on JP, it worked itself out, man. Because if me, you, JP, and Kev is on the same time, bro, that's like a 5-hour episode talking hoops. So,
It's-
you know,
I can imagine, bro.
but here go JP. So let's bring him back. All right, well, JP is the spinning wheel. All right, there you go, brother.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, bro. It was something crazy. But
Welcome back.
okay. Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks, man. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. Okay. Anyway, we introduced Nick, right?
Yeah, we introduced Nick. Now we ready to get into it.
Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. I don't know what happened there. It was an error right there when the recording thing. But anyway, we're gonna get right into it, y'all. We're gonna talk about basketball starting to heat up right now, y'all. So we're gonna talk about the Olympics off the top. And last night we saw Team USA versus Canada last night. So hey, we're gonna start with Nick first, man. Nick, what did you think about last night's performance by Team USA and Canada?
I mean, my overall thoughts on the game and just this team as a whole, man. I mean, I think there's no doubt in my mind. Maybe this is just me sounding biased, but I think this team has to go for gold. Honestly, they got off to a slow start last night. Give credit to Canada. Canada's a really good team. I don't know if people really understand that. I mean, when you talk about the talent there, Jamal Murray, R.J. Barrett, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Dylan Brooks. The list can go on and on. So they're a really talented team, and I give them a lot of credit for really playing hard against Team USA. But I mean, I think when you go as far as like who's more talented, like than the other, I mean, you got to go Team USA. And like I say, they got to a slow start, but once they were able to find that groove, I mean, like they were really unstoppable. I mean, you talk about Steph Curry, coming in, being able to be a spark from 3-point range. LeBron has some good moments, especially defensively, and as a playmaker. I thought Anthony Edwards was really exceptional, as well, coming off the bench for them. So overall, I mean, I just think that this team has so much firepower, honestly. I mean, so like I say, I think there's no doubt in my mind that we're gonna go gold. So it was overall a great performance. Like I say, they got off to a slow start. I think there's still, some chemistry that still needs to be built, but overall, you can't complain with the win.
Right. I definitely agree with you on that, man. Will, what was your take on last night's performance, the game between Canada and United States?
I mean, I think I'll start with Canada. It definitely Nick is correct. Like they're a very talented team, probably top 3-4 team in the world. And they're not getting their credit. The fact that for real hoop heads, Kim Birch is probably the 12th man on the roster. That's a former 5-star high school player. Force of nature, a man child. That was once thought to be a one and done. And he played in the league, for a while. So, like that's a really talented team. Team USA, man, very talented, but we know talent isn't enough. I think they have a good blend of talent, of guys that really want to win. It's not often you have somebody going into year 21, still willing to suit up, and with LeBron, KD, even Steph, they're getting up there, but they still, they care and they want to ensure that, Team USA brings home the gold. The only thing I would say is Steve Kerr better stop effing around with these lineups and start off with a lineup that makes some sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree, man. Also, we gotta remember last night they basically played with 10 players last night. We were down 2 players. Kawhi, we're gonna talk about him soon. He was replaced last night with Derek White, and KD didn't play last night. So you know how KD loves to play in the Olympics, man. KD and Melo, man, they two of the all-time greats ever played in the Olympics, man. They're already great players, but they tear it up even more. So I thought last night's performance was good, especially considering they're getting to know each other's games, and so a lot of these players are playing together for the first time ever. I thought they played very well. They got like
JP, you there, bro?
Man, his Wi-Fi is bugging, man.
Nah, bro, his Wi-Fi is more than bugging right now. That's crazy. They got him frozen like that, man. Like, that is crazy. Bro, I don't think I've seen that before on StreamYard. Like, that's crazy.
Was he on his phone? It looked like he on his phone.
Yeah, I think he be doing it from a tablet, but hey, man. Yo, so Nick, man, while JP trying to get it together, man, let me ask you something.
Let's go.
So talking about the Olympics while JP is loading up, I've seen a lot of discourse and scrutiny around Joel Embiid choosing to play for America. Now I just want to get your thoughts on that, because he could have played for Africa, you know what I'm saying, and he could have played. I forget what was the other country. I think I don't remember who it was,
France.
but yeah, France. Okay, France, America, and Africa, and he chose America. So I want to get your thoughts, man.
I mean, it's really his decision, to be honest. I mean, I get it. I can understand people's frustration and people's concerns. I mean, he's definitely. I mean, he's from Africa. He was raised out there and everything. So I definitely understand. But I don't know. I guess maybe because I want to say he's been in America since he was like maybe 8th, 9th grade, something like that. I have to go back and double check. So he's been an American citizen for a long time, maybe even like more than half his life. So maybe he does more so consider himself more of an American at this point. So and maybe he's just also, maybe he just has that dream of playing with alongside other guys. I remember him also saying that he always wanted to play next to Steph Curry. So maybe this is his opportunity to do that. So, and I get it. I can understand people's frustration as far as, him looking to play for Africa or even play for France or everything. Just because, Team USA is already a great team and they're already loaded with so much talent. But at the end of the day, he's his own man. He wants to make his own decision. So, if he wants to play for Team USA, and they allow him to play on the roster, then I personally don't see a problem with it. But I could definitely understand people who don't like it as well.
Absolutely. JP, man, what's your thoughts on it?
I agree. I think he should be able to play, whoever we wanted to play with. I know the French is mad, man. He's gonna be getting some hostilities over there in France. But he's originally from Cameroon, and I know Cameroon, they're probably not too happy. They got a couple players like Siakam's from Cameroon. But I think part of this has to do with as well where he's going to make more money and maybe more endorsement deals at as well. You know what I mean? So you might be talking about generating more wealth as well. You can tell Joel is working himself back into shape, man, as it always seems. He's always doing his stuff. I think he fouled out last night, played like 18 minutes last night, but he'll get better as the games go on and stuff, man. But it's good to have him on this team, though, man, because one thing they lack is a legitimate big man. And Joel is 7'7" 1", so we do have a legitimate big man and maybe the best big man in the world. So and he probably wanted to play where he could win at too. He comes to the United States. That's all we needed was Joel Embiid. So I think he made his decision based off that.
No, you make good points, JP, and I do agree with both of you guys. And I'll just add some context because JP, man, as generations of the game, is important to look at it from a lot of different ways and historically. Hakeem Olajuwon is not from America, played for Team USA. Jose Alvarado is not from Puerto Rico, playing for Puerto Rico. Karl Anthony Towns is not actually from the Dominican Republic, played for DR. There's a lot of players, if you look at the Olympics, just the Olympics, that have dual citizenships because of where they play at, and they will
Right.
represent
Patrick. Oh, well, I wanted to say also, Patrick Ewing played for USA. He's from
That's
Jamaica.
another one.
So you're right.
Absolutely. That's another great one. So that's important, while we're looking at it. Like, I listen, I'm a fan of the jokes and the memes, you know what I'm saying? But, we got to be logical, you know what I'm saying? Like in certain situations. So I think there's that. And then also, this is not to take a shot at it. I think back to JP when we had Coach Jones on the podcast. A lot of people think that certain, teams, certain programs have lesser, resources, lesser facilities, if they've never gone to see for themselves. And I think that could have been, of course, part of it as well. Joel's representation, the Sixers ownership with his injury history. I'm pretty sure that they probably gave him some pushback, as well, because it's like, look, we can't risk you going over there and getting hurt and missing the season just trying to warm up, get, ready for practice, and I do truly believe, like, he understood what it could possibly mean if he chose to play, for his home country in Cameroon. I'm not, like, to be honest, I'm not even concerned with France, but like Cameroon, specifically, like, I know he knows what that means, as a kid growing up over there, what it meant to see certain players, that maybe weren't even from Cameroon, but were just from, of African descent, it means, a lot, so MVP playing for their home country when they have a choice of three countries, like, it would have meant a lot. But all his kid knows, is America. Like you said, majority of his life, he's been in America. So I think it's as simple as he wants to play basketball with his buddies, and his kid is going to get to see him, wear USA with the stars and stripes, man. Like, good for him. With his past as far as like his health, I didn't know if we'd ever even see him beat in the Olympics, to be honest. So I'm just glad to see it happening.
No, I mean 100%. I mean, it's like I said. I mean, like I said, I don't necessarily have a problem with it, and I can understand. I mean, 'cause, I mean, it's like all the points that you say. I think it would have been big for him to play for a team like Africa. Especially being there. You look at all like the tradition of all of the great players and bigs that came out of Africa. That would have been big for him, especially to carry that torch. But at the end of the day, that's not what he wanted. He wanted to go another direction. He decided to suit up next to a lot of his peers like Steph, LeBron, AD, the rest of the guys, and I think he has every right to do it. So, like I said, I don't really have a big issue with it. I can understand why people do have an issue with it, but at the end of the day, he's bound to do whatever he wants to do, and I think that he wants to put himself in the best position to win a gold medal. So, and I think no other team right now can do that or has the best chance than Team USA, the country that he lives in.
Facts. And then how can I forget, man? OKC Thunder legend and Congo native Serge Ibaka played for Spain. Like, come on, man. Like,
Oh
it's
yeah,
just
forgot about that. Yeah.
so many examples, what I'm saying, of players playing for other, countries, for various reasons. Welcome back, JP.
Hey, Will, it says on the bottom, it says recording error. Open the recording tab to learn more. And I think that's what's throwing me out.
Because so it does like local recording. So I think it only says that for you. So don't worry about that. Don't click that. Don't worry about that.
No, I haven't. And I think that's what's throwing me out.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
But anyway,
All right. Well, we're going to jump to our next Olympic topic. As JP previously mentioned, we had Team USA without two key team members. One, Kevin Durant, we already are tracking. The second, Kawhi Leonard. So, Kawhi is withdrawn from playing for Team USA. Caused a lot of social media discourse, with the simple fact that, he missed the ending of the Clippers playoff season with injury and his injury history. So JP, let's start with you, man. What's your thoughts on Kawhi having to withdraw and on who his replacement is?
Um, yeah, man. I think Kawhi. It's unfortunate, man. Because Kawhi, he's had a great career. Um, just injuries, man, keeps derailing. What's going on. And as far as his replacement goes, Derek White, very good player. But I do kind of agree with everybody else. A lot of other people are saying that it should be Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown is very, very similar to Kawhi. I think Kawhi is a little better scorer than him, maybe a little better defensively prime Kawhi was, but Jaylen Brown's not that far off, and he's the MVP of the NBA Finals. So I really do think, that Jaylen Brown maybe should have been considered a little more than Derek White, although Derek White is a major player himself. He could shoot, he could defend and all stuff there. I don't have a problem with it, but I'm just saying Jaylen Brown would have been as good a fit as well.
Good
points that you make, man. Over to you, Nick.
I agree 100%. I think Jaylen Brown should definitely be on this team and should be Kawhi Leonard's replacement. And it's not a knock to Derek White. Derek White is a really good player. He's a really great role player. Like, I have a knock on Derek White, and it's not necessarily towards him, but there's just so many narratives with Derek White that everybody believes he's like an all-star or he's better than what he is. And it's not a knock. He's a really great player. But I never really viewed him in that stratosphere. For instance, I remember last year or this past year, JJ Redick was trying to make a notion that he was an all-star caliber player, and I was like, no, like he's a really great role player. I'll give you that, but he's not an all-star caliber player by any means. I mean, that's just my opinion. But I mean, you talk about Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown had an overall great postseason. I mean, you talk about winning Finals MVP. He won the Conference Finals MVP when Boston had beat Indiana. So he pretty much was the leading factor, honestly, for Boston being able to get to that championship. And I think for him to not even be considered on this team is just kind of like disrespectful to me. I don't know exactly the reasons why, but I think that he should definitely be a replacement. And as far as for Kawhi, I was actually disappointed. I actually wanted to see Kawhi play on this team, just because I want to say this would have been his first. Honestly, I can't recall any other year that he played for Team USA in the past, but it would have been dope to see him play next to Bron, Steph, and all the other great players. But I don't know if his injury, as far as the reason why he's not playing, or if it's just he wants to just rest the rest of the offseason and prepare for this upcoming season for the Clippers. But it's just unfortunate. Same thing with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is also dealing with the injury as well. So to see those two elite all-around players, not be able to participate in this year's Olympic, or actually, I mean, I think KD's still kind of questionable, but definitely for Kawhi to not be able to participate is just unfortunate. But I agree with JP 100%. I mean, I think Jaylen Brown should definitely be the replacement for Kawhi, and I think the fact that he's not considered his replacement is just kind of disrespectful, if you ask me.
I agree, man. Like when you look at it, I mean, Jalen's a wing, as far as like, his natural position, his size and everything. I feel like it would be a no-brainer, to put him in Kawhi's spot. It's like you said, and the Derek White conversation, that look, man, like we have to be honest. Like, and I know that in this highlight era in social media, it's trendy to, stand a player, and he deserves fandom, of course, but all-star, no. Like he's in the, he's a Dennis Rodman, like, he's a Marcus Smart, he's a star in a certain role, he's not a star player or a superstar. There's a very, very small percentage of guys, that ever grace the league that's in those conversations, so we just got to be real about it. It is unfortunate with Kawhi. I think that people don't realize, man, like it's become commonplace for great players to have like kind of longer careers than they did in the past. I mean, Kawhi has already, man, been in the league since 2011, So, the years, the miles is piling up, man. I know LeBron, I feel like makes it look effortless for everyone, but super long careers are not commonplace. The average career, historically is I don't even think is like 8 years in the league now. So Um, we just got to enjoy the greats while they're here, and sadly, the majority of the guys that's on Team USA, a good chunk of them, this is it, for Olympic play. So, this is historical, and we gotta definitely treat it as such, man. You know, but I definitely was looking forward to seeing Kawhi, get buckets and clamp up in the Olympics, man, without cracking a smile.
You're right. That would have been funny to see, him possibly going up for a fast break dunk and then just having a straight face. That would have been crazy.
Facts. Man, Kawhi was living his best life on vacation, man. Popped up, went to Vegas real quick, going right back to vacation.
Exactly. And that's the thing too, though, because it's like even though Team USA is still very talented, I mean, this team is still very talented even without both Kawhi and Kevin Durant. But it still would have been dope to see him play next to all these other guys. Because I mean, it's like we said, I mean, we haven't really seen Kawhi a lot over the past couple months. I mean, he only played 2 games in the playoffs last year. So we just all want to see him healthy. Like that's all we really want, and we want to see him out there competing with a lot of the best players in the NBA. So I mean, at the end of the day, I hope that he finds a way to recover from any injury that he's facing, and hopefully he'll be ready and prepared for this upcoming season for the Clippers because they're going to need him more than ever, especially after losing Paul George and then them going in like a new direction.
Absolutely, man. And that's something I'm very interested to see how that unfolds, man. Like the new face of the Clippers, getting a new arena, losing PG. Looks like they're possibly losing Russ. So it's gonna be interesting, man. The Harden and Kawhi show.
Facts.
So we can, I guess, move along, man. While talking Team USA, we gotta, shout out the youth. Team USA under 18, men and boys and girls teams. Were absolutely dominant. In their runs. I know most recently, the boys team, brought home the gold after nothing but dominant performances, beating some teams by like something crazy like 80 points. And the MVP of the team was none other than Cameron Boozer. It was a super talented team, top to bottom. It had the Boozer twins, AJ Di Matanza, and a lot of other players. And I want to get your overall thoughts on that team, Nick.
So I didn't really get a chance to really lock in on them as much as I really wanted to, just because I was busy, with WNBA and then NBA Finals and all that stuff. So I hadn't had a chance to really lock in on them as much as I wanted to, but I definitely was keeping in tune to what they were going on. And I'll say this: I mean, they were really dominating everybody. I mean, they showed not even they just showed how elite of a team they are, but just how elite of talents they are. I mean, you mentioned the Boozer twins. I've been a fan of the Boozer twins for the past maybe 3 to 4 years, honestly. And I mean, they have tremendous upside moving forward. You talk about AJ as well. I've been such a big fan of AJ. I've been wanting to talk to y'all about him too because I feel like his upside is just tremendous. So overall, I mean, I think watching that U17, this U17 team and just watching them, just be able to dominate just like, all the other countries, it just shows that, that the game is going to another level, coming soon. I mean, there's a lot of great talent from this USA team. And, like the fact that they were able to dominate so well, just shows, what's ahead moving forward.
Absolutely. Since we were talking AJ, man, like let me ask you. So, when I see AJ, right, I see when I look at AJ and when I look at Cam, with one player, I see great, upside, great potential. I see flashes every game, but with AJ. But when I
I hear
see
that.
Cam, I see from start to finish, complete dominance, right? So let me ask you, in your opinion, not in, the so-called recruiting experts' opinions, what do you factor into, who should be the number one ranked player?
Um, Definitely consistency, passion. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who's gonna bring it on a night in and night out basis. Somebody who's gonna be able to set the tone. Somebody who's just gonna be able to communicate. I mean, it's not always. It doesn't always have to be scoring. To me, obviously, when you think about the number one option, it's always about who's gonna be the best scorer on the team. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's definitely important, but there's other factors that have to lead to that as well. I mean, I think you got to be a great leader on and off the floor. You got to be locked in. You have to be able to hold your teammates accountable, whenever need to be, and you have to hold yourself accountable as well, whenever you're not playing well as well. So those are factors to me. I feel like, I think when you think about the term number one option, it's got to be a true leader. And I mean, when you talk about all the greats that we see, with them being number one options, at least true number one options is those guys, because they were able to do everything from scoring, from leading, etc. So that's at least to me. And I agree with you 100% on AJ not being locked in as he needs to be. Because I mean, I've even seen games, for him in high school, him being lackadaisical, him not being 100% locked in, and him, kind of taking a step back, whenever his team needs him the most. And it's like you say, his talent is there 100%. I mean, I think by far he's one of the top prospects in the country, and I think everybody should be high on him. But that's something that he's going to have to work on, moving forward, is being consistent, him being locked in the entire game and trying to get the job done. Because if he does lock in the entire game, who knows where his team could be? Like, his team could dominate literally every single night if need to be. So that's something that I look at as far as, being a number one option, as far as just being locked in the entire game and just being a leader in all areas of the floor.
Absolutely. JP, you came back just in time, brother. We're talking about Team USA boys under 18 team, man, the dominant performance they had.
Yeah. What was y'all's take? Y'all think this is the best team that we've seen out of the 7 years that they've had this?
I got to think about past teams. Ooh.
Yeah, I would have to look at some rosters to be accurate on that.
Right.
They up there though.
Look, they averaged 128 points a game. 64. They held their opponents to 64 points a game. Held them to 34% shooting. They averaged 40 assists a game and 23 steals a game. Bruh.
Defense is top tier.
Defense was top tier. The only thing I said coming into this tournament was maybe they might lack a little height, because I think their tallest player is 6'9", 6'10". But bruh, it didn't matter. They had the athletes. They could come at you. They could come at you at least 10 to 12 deep. All 12 of those players could play. So I mean, they're doing just waves of players at you, athleticism at you, waves of athleticism at you. They had shooters. They had ball handlers. I mean, man, this was a great team, man. But I think AJ played very well. Brandon McCroy, he played very well. Stokes, Terrell Stokes. I mean, Stokes. He was a monster. But Will, like me and you talked about the other day, man. And I know everybody's high on AJ as being number one, and I understand that. AJ reminds me of, I want to say, like Kevin Durant type, 6'9", 6'10", can shoot the ball. Maybe might be a little slightly better ball handler than Durant was at the same age. But what you would call it, Cam Boozer. I mean, his brother played very well too, but Cam Boozer, man, in my opinion, he's the best player in the country, man. He dominated this thing, man. He averaged 24 and 10 or something like that, and he's very, very consistent with what he does. I mean, he's the prototypical power forward. He can do a lot for you. He reminds me a lot of Banchero in Orlando, who played at Duke. But man, this was a special team. Also, I wanted to say too, I saw the IG live with I think it was Brandon McCroy, and they were talking about, y'all thought the rest of the world was a kid with a couple other players, but some of the other players were saying, y'all thought the world caught up to us. Y'all gonna need more than one Biyama to beat us. And I'm like, wait a minute now, wait a minute. France got some talent, man. You don't want to poke the bear like that, but it was good, in France when they do play. I mean, in up and coming years.
I hear you. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I definitely hear you. I'll be your Cam Cam Boozer is special. Cam Boozer is definitely special. I mean, I've been watching him for a while now. And don't get me wrong. I mean, his brother is definitely good as well. But Cam is just somebody that I think can really shake things up, especially once he gets to college, and then of course once he gets to the NBA. So I'm really excited to see what his future looks like.
Honestly, man, as far as like not just the Team USA, but as far as like the high school class, the top three players, man, right in that class, is definitely Cam, AJ, and then another young man that's right there, but he plays on the Adidas circuit. That's Darren Peterson, man. That's the three best players I've seen. So listen, JP. I know we talk about 2026 a lot, but 25 they got some hoopers, man. Like for real.
They got some hoopers, man. Man. And another thing, I don't know if y'all touched on it or not, man, but we gotta talk about Cooper Flagg too. He more than held his own against the USA Olympic team. He looked dominant at times.
Go ahead, Nick.
Nah, I mean Cooper. I actually talked about this on my podcast for the love of the game. Y'all can go tap into that episode. But I'll be real. I mean, like the talent is there, and I think a lot of people only view Cooper Flagg as like a high flyer. Obviously, his athleticism is just absolutely crazy, but he has a nice little game to him. Honestly, you talk about the ball handling. There was a play as well where he caught Anthony Davis on a switch, on the wing, and then next, he just drained the three right in his face. So. He shows that he has tremendous upside, not only as a high flyer, but as an overall player. And I think, and I was even talking about this too on my pod, like I'm not trying to compare these two players by any means, but especially like with Cooper Flagg going to Duke next year, like I feel like it could kind of have that same energy as like Zion was back when he came to the team like 2018, 2019. Like now, look, I'm not comparing Zion and Cooper Flagg by any means, but I just remember how much hype there was around Zion when he first got to Duke and how dominant he was. Like Cooper Flagg could possibly make that same impact, honestly. And he has an overall great game to me that is going to be able to translate to college and, of course, in the NBA as well. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that Cooper Flagg was able to go into practice and play scrimmage next to Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Anthony Edwards, Steph Curry, and the list goes on and on, all these great NBA players and still be able to hold his own, that was just incredible to me.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that, man. And I understand what you say about the Zion thing. What you're basically telling people is the impact, like Zion had on Duke. You can see the same type of impact that he'll have on Duke as well. I understand what you're talking about. I understand exactly where you're coming from, man. You're not comparing the two players at all because they both have their games are very different. Zion's game is more based on power, bullying you in the paint. Doing stuff like that. Cooper is all-around threat outside. He has point guard skills, shooting guard skills, small forward, power forward. And to be honest with you, he might be even a little better shot blocker than what Zion is too. Because Cooper Flagg can block some shots, man.
I think now, again, context. I think that Cooper Flagg is going to be bigger at Duke than Zion. I don't mean what he does on the court. I just think, with social media where it is, he's coming off of, being on a Team USA select team, and, holding his own. And then, look, man, Caitlin Clark is gone. They need a new, Anglo-Saxon, savior, you know what I mean? So, just being real, it's going to be people that root for him just because of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and,
I wasn't even going to go there, but I mean, you're right, though.
Like, and Duke, historically has a great white player. So he's that, next in that line. So, but listen, the difference with Cooper, I think, is that, he really is a dog, his mentality, and he can hoop. To me, I think his game is I think he's a little further along offensively at this stage, but I'll be honest with you, man. I watched Cooper ever since I've seen him, man. I see, and it could be, because this person is also, white, but AK-47, man, I saw a lot of that with the, defensive versatility that he brings to the game. The shot blocking, like you mentioned, JP, the way he can clamp up on the perimeter, the dunks and everything like that. But I think that AK-47, because of the way the game was played at the time, he would have been a great small ball four, but he was forced to play the three. Now Cooper will be allowed to, kind of roam and do whatever his team needs him to do and play multiple positions. So it's going to be great, man. Listen, the game is better, when Duke is good. Listen, Kentucky and Duke played again this season. Hopefully it don't go the way it went when Zion was there. Hopefully we kick their ass this time, but I don't know. But listen, they got a great team. Listen, and I'll be honest, I'm not even most excited to see Cooper. I'm excited to see Maluk. That dude, man. Listen, that guy is a monster, bro. The way he dominated in the FIBA Africa games. Listen, people don't even know.
Yeah. But you know what? I saw him in the USA versus the World game, and he wasn't at his best. I put it to you that way, But you can't judge him off that one game. I mean, everybody has an off night and stuff. But yeah, man, he has imposing size already, and I'm sure he's going to get better in the lab. I'm sure that when we see him play at Duke, he's going to have a tremendous impact right away. Whether it be definitely on the defensive end, man, him and Cooper on the defensively, they're going to be locking people down, coming down that paint and on that perimeter, But you talk about Kentucky. I think Arkansas and Duke would be a better matchup than Kentucky and Duke at this point, though, Will. You know what I'm saying?
I'll be honest, man. What they did in the portal one and everything, man, I think you're sleeping on them a little bit, man. But I get where you're coming from as far as the one and done talent and those type of matchups for sure.
Yeah.
But one thing, I'm glad you brought up Arkansas, though, JP. I gotta say this real quick. Coach Cal is my guy. No type of issue with Coach Cal. Arkansas social media manager needs to be fired. If I see them claiming Kentucky players ever again on their social media, it's going to be a problem. You know what I'm saying? Claim your own Arkansas Razorbacks, man. Don't claim no Kentucky Wildcats, bro. They not y'all former players.
What were they posting?
Man, it was in the past they were talking about I think it was like the draft, like talking about Coach Cal's like success and everything. But it's like, I get it, but that's not your success. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So,
Now I hear you.
Yeah. Okay, where are we at now? Where are we at now with the as far as the show goes? What do we got next coming up?
All right, man. We jumping over to the NBA, man. We can jump on over to that summer league. We can start with your team, JP, them Sixers.
Yeah. Tell you something, man. I'm gonna tell you he's gonna take a big jump this year. And then I was big on him last year. I thought he should got some playoff run. That Ricky Council the fourth, bruh. He's serious. I saw that reverse dunk he had last night. I was like, okay, Ricky. I'm like, all right. Yeah, and McClain looked good the first game. He struggled a little bit last time. That's to come though, man. I'm not really worried about that. Well, what's the guy that they got in the second round?
Adem Bona.
Yeah. I liked him too, man. I like what I saw from those three. Those are the three I was really paying attention to, man. First game, McClain went off. Ricky Council's been consistent throughout. And Bondo, man, he's a high energy guy. He reminds me of what's the guy that plays with Phoenix? The guy's just the backup center. I can't think of his name right now. He was at Charlotte before.
You said Charlotte?
Yeah, he was Charlotte first. Then he went to Phoenix. He's the Phoenix backup center.
I think they backup is Bol right now, right?
Nah, before he's like 6'9", 6'10". He has a crazy long wingspan. I forget his name right now.
I gotta go look at the roster real quick.
Yeah. I can't think of this guy's name.
He played this past year too?
Yeah.
Let me see. I know they got Nurkic.
His last name begins with a B. Oh man, I can't think.
With a B. Let me see.
They got Drew Eubanks. I don't know if he played for Charlotte.
He's with Phoenix now.
Yeah, he's looking at Phoenix. Phoenix is
Yeah,
rock.
yeah, yeah. I'm looking at the roster right now, but
But he backed up. Maybe he got traded. He backed up DeAndre Ayton too.
DeAndre Ayton.
I forget his name, man.
Maybe
Was it?
Jaden Smith when they had him, but
Nah, he's from Africa.
I'm about to say was it? Okay, no, never mind. Then I was gonna say was it Sarge, but you said he's from Africa. So
Yeah, but he reminds me of that guy, and also maybe
Are you talking about Biombo?
Biombo. There you
isn't that
go,
Biombo? Okay.
Biombo.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Biombo because Biombo is very athletic. He reminds me of that, maybe a little more polished. He'll be a little more polished than Biombo, but he also reminds me of Serge Ibaka
Ibaka.
too. He reminds me of Ibaka a little bit, just a little bit. He's a combination of them both, man. I mean, I like the kid. I think he's gonna be good. That Ricky Council the fourth, he's gonna be in that rotation this year, man. He's definitely gonna be in the rotation. I want to say something else, but people be like, man, Jay, you be smoking doobies and you high right now if you say this. But I tell you off the air who I think Ricky Council reminds me of a little. I mean, I hope he can turn into this player, but if you know what, fuck it. Excuse me for that, my language.
I mean, you can talk about it here. Who cares what they think?
I'm gonna say it. He reminds me a little bit of Kawhi, a little bit. Athleticism, can be a defender, shoot a little bit. I'm not saying he's going to be Kawhi, but he gives me Kawhi type vibes. I mean, am I bugging with that? Am I tripping or what?
I mean, when you think about it from the lens of like an athletic wing, with long wingspan and everything like that, I can see it. I think the way they approached the game was different. Like Kawhi, initially like really made a name for himself, defending, rebounding, and scoring coming third. Like Ricky Council, he's always been an offensive player first. But I get what you mean, like the way he can get his highlights and everything. I'm actually very high on him. I thought that when he was going into the draft that people thought I was crazy, but I was higher on him than I was initially with like Nick Smith Jr. But Nick Smith is very talented too. It's not to say he's not. It's just I saw more of Ricky. You know what I mean? So I was very high on what I did see. But go ahead, Nick.
But I was gonna ask JP, man, what's been your thoughts on your boy McCain, Jerry McCain?
Yeah, I talked about it for a minute. He's progressing, man. You know what I'm saying? He had a pretty good first game. I know he didn't play too well last night, but that's to be expected, though, man. Some players don't play well, in the summer leagues, but then when it comes to regular season, they're ready. I think that'd be the case with him, man. I expect him to make an impact this year. As a matter of fact, I heard Daryl Morey had him. They were ecstatic to get him at 16 because they had him as a top 10 pick. But yeah, I like McCain a lot. I think he's going to contribute. So, once he gets that shot down, man, he's going to be a problem.
No, I agree. Hell, he was he's a sniper. I mean, I'll be real. I mean, I always talk about this game because I cover Florida State, but he killed Florida State when they came to Tallahassee. I think he hit like 8 threes or something like that. He had like 25, something like that in the first half alone. So, he's definitely a sniper. But people also got to understand, summer league and college are two totally different things. Like, I know that, you're not playing up against, like, you're not going up against like a lot of the greats like LeBron or anything in the summer league, but, there's still like the physicality there, the faster pace and everything in the summer league. So people got to understand, it's still an adjustment. I mean, it's still technically a professional setting. And I think people got to understand that as well. So, a lot of these guys, they may come out the gate struggling, first 2 games or whatever it is, but, sooner or later they'll be able to figure out. Like, for instance, I remember back in, I think it was 2018 when Trae Young got drafted. And everybody knows Trae Young was just tremendous at Oklahoma. And his first summer league game, he shot terrible. I can't remember exactly what he shot, but I know that he shot terrible. And everybody was saying, oh, he's a bust, this and this and that. He's not going to be able to compete in the league and everything. And it's like, are we really going based off of one summer league game that this guy can't play at that next level? So, it's just crazy to me how people just blow things out of proportion. But overall, like I say, a lot of these guys, they may not come out the gates in their first game or two, playing at their highest level, but, just give it time, they'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I'm gonna tell you another player didn't play good. Brandon Miller didn't look pretty good last year,
No,
in
he
the summer
didn't.
league as well. And the one player that he shall not be named, he didn't play well at all in his first game. So and we saw the type of rookie year he had last year. So both of them. So it's just summer league, man. Plus, guys are getting back into shape. Getting their legs together. So I'm not worried, man. I'm not worried. Speaking of guys getting back into shape and getting their legs together, we got to bring up the elephant in the room, y'all. We got to talk about the elephant in the room, man. And you know what? People need to chill and relax. And we're talking about one Bronny James, man. I think I don't understand us as a society sometimes. I mean, we criticize this young man. Oh, he averaged only 4 points a game. Only had 4 points the other night. Excuse me. Do y'all understand that this kid, I think it was in August, this kid had a heart attack and almost died?
Yeah, about a year ago, around this time a year ago, cardiac
Yeah.
arrest.
Do we understand he had cardiac arrest? And y'all sitting there questioning about how come his game hasn't translated yet? Think about your ass for a minute and think about you having cardiac arrest and how you would be. I mean, I don't understand it. He's just getting really back into shape. And why people are coming down on him like this, I mean, we don't put stuff in context. There's a lot of stupidity on social media, man.
100%. I mean, I agree with you 1,000%. Honestly, I mean, you talk about him dealing with that cardiac arrest, and then still I want to say he made his debut in like December. So I mean, that's like 4 months after dealing with that, and then still being able to come back on the floor. And I get it. Social media is always going to go crazy just because of the last name that he has. So I mean, that's already a guarantee there. And I guess for me, I never had expectations on Bronny to be a superstar. So I think that's why for me is like I'm a fan of his because I just wanted him to play at his best level. And I get it, he averaged around 4 points a game, during his one season at USC, but he did a lot of good things honestly last year. He was a good spot up shooter. I thought he was a really good pick and roll partner, a really good playmaker. Defensively got into the passing lane. So he did a lot of good things outside of scoring to me that really helped the team. And look, you can't really blame him because I mean, hell, USC was just bad last year as a whole. Even aside from guys like Isaiah Collier, Boogie Ellis, being able to have good seasons, like the team just was not great. Honestly, I mean, they were one of the worst teams in the Pac-12 last year. So you can't really put a lot of that blame on Bronny whatsoever. But and I get it, people can say nepotism as far as him getting drafted by the Lakers. I really don't even have a problem with it if we're gonna be honest. But just allow him to be him. You know what I mean? Like I think we need to come to that expectation that he's not gonna be his dad, you know what I'm saying? Because that's really, really high pressure. He's not gonna be as great as his dad, which I don't expect, but he can still have a really great career in the NBA. I just think that people need to just chill out for a second and just allow him to grow his game as a whole. Because I mean he's only 19 years old, so he has a lot of years to continue to develop moving forward.
I mean, the first thing I would say is what player that had a father in the league, that was great, was as great as their father. Nobody that I can think of.
Right.
It's hard to do. The only thing we've seen is, kind of evolution, like where, you see a lot of former role players whose sons end up being greater than they were, but with Bronny, his game, like, and this is not even like criticism, it's just like the way he plays the game, like he's tailor made to be an impact role player, at a point, you know, playing off the ball, secondary playmaker, going to defend, can knock down open jumpers, get out and run. I think the fact that he's selfless enough to embrace that is over half the battle right there. I mean, the thing that always stuck out to me with him and all his media is when they asked him the type of players he's looking at. He named the Drew Holidays, the Derek Whites, the Marcus Smarts of the world. He didn't say, "Oh, I play like my dad," because you don't. You're not as big or any of that. So I think that's important, and of course, the health is a big part of it. Listen, man, I don't care if Ronnie, ends up, being, all-time great role player. I don't care if he ends up never scoring, a bucket, in the regular season. The fact that he survived, that health scare, came back to play, gets a chance to put on the jersey, make history with his dad. Look, man, that's a hell of a life. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna do what he wants to do and what he can do, and I hope for the same as you, Nick, just that he's healthy, and that he can, do the best that he can do, and that, he wants to do it, and we still got Bryce. I mean, honestly, out of the James family, Bryce is the one, to watch for. I think he's like 6'6" now, the clips I've seen, he don't play like his dad either. Honestly, when I look at Bryce, and I feel like the conversations we have are important, and they're for like real basketball fans, because on Twitter, if you say certain names, people think you're being disrespectful. But when I look at Bryce, he's not as athletic as his dad. He's not as tall as his dad. Honestly, he got a lot of Boston College Jared Dudley to his game from what I've seen, the way he scores and gets to his spots. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that. Jared Dudley was a first-round pick, had a really long
He was a good player.
So if he's that impactful, great. If not, hey, whatever. But I'm all for, the nepotism, as they call it, and just seeing this black family, continue to get paid at the end of the day, man.
Man, look, nepotism goes on every day. Some of these people sit up here bitching and complaining, talking about, oh, LeBron got his son drafted. There's shit that goes on in your job is nepotism. Y'all don't say a damn thing. So knock it off. And then on top of that there too, with the whole Bronny James thing, man, folks out there are crazy if they think that they expect Bronny to be his dad. His dad his dad was the greatest high school player we see since Kareem. And that's dead. He's the greatest easily top 3 or 4 greatest high school player ever. I don't do GOATs. I don't do, top 5s and stuff. But LeBron easily, if somebody said LeBron was the GOAT, okay. If they say he's top 5, I agree with them. If you say top 5 and stuff, he definitely is. I mean, who in the hell could really live up to that expectation except for maybe 2 or 3 players in NBA history? So if people expect Bronny to be as good as his dad, you're smoking dope. Because second of all, he's 6'2", 6'3". LeBron was 6'9", 240 coming into the league. I like you said, man, social media just brings out some of the. I mean, sometimes, man, I just wish social media was shut down. Sometimes, man, some of the asinine shit that you see or hear on there, man, it's like full of idiots sometimes.
A lot of the time.
Yeah. I actually just thought about this. So there was a clip of Bronny that was kind of going viral. So how whenever the official calls a foul and then somebody gets an extra shot up or whatever. So that happened during one of their games, and then Bronny had got a quick shot and then he airballed. And then everybody was going crazy, like, "Oh man, look at him!" I'm like, bro, it's a dead ball. Like, why does it matter if he makes it or not? You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of crazy to me.
Man,
I think. I was going to make this point. I think the problem is, man, it's too many damn casual fans that have an opinion and don't know what the hell they talking about. I think that's part of the problem with this whole social media stuff, man. People barely watch basketball. I mean, how the hell are you going to tell Nick, me, and Will? We've been watching some of these players for years, playing stuff, and it's just crazy at times, man.
Absolutely, man. So, real quick, before we jump off Summer League, was there any other players that kind of jump off the screen for you, Nick?
I love what Stephon Castle was doing in San Antonio over the past couple of games. I mean, I really love his playmaking. I think that's something that a lot of people have wanted to see from him, because I think we saw glimpses of it at UConn, but he wasn't really like necessarily like a real point guard in a way. I don't know. I'm just going off of other people's opinions, but I think what we saw with him over these past couple of games in Summer League was really incredible. I mean, him scoring. I still think that he can elevate on his perimeter shot, but he definitely shows the tangibles of being able to get to the rim. I love his playmaking. I obviously as a whole, I think defensively he has some good moments as well. So I was impressed with Stephon Castle. Ricky Council was another one that I was really impressed with, and then Keontae Jones as well. I mean, obviously, he already played his rookie year last year, and then of course now him back in the summer league. His upside is gonna be great too, and I definitely believe that he's the point guard for Utah moving forward. So I mean, those are three players to me that come to mind as far as the more impressive guys in the summer league so far for me.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up Keontae because one thing I want to highlight is the importance of players that know they're going to get, rotation minutes, may even start, but understand the importance of continuing to work on your game. I feel like that's becoming a lost art. We've seen it. The most famous is J.R. Smith, you know what I mean? And a year
Right.
like 4 or 5 still playing in summer league, but it's sometimes it's more about just the reps and the mental aspect of it. I'm coming out here with the mindset to kill everything in front of me, and get ready for the season, and that goes back to something JP you and I talked about numerous times. You don't really see kids playing pickup or 21 anymore. And these are things where you sharpen your game for real. Not dribbling against traffic cones and stuff like that.
You're right, man. Yeah. And I think playing against older players helps your game as well. You know what I mean? Because they've been there. And that's why I think it was good for Cooper Flagg to play against the United States team, because he gonna come into college, he gonna learn so much from LeBron and Steph and KD and all them guys, man. He gonna come in there like, yo, I played against the best. I learned tricks from them. So, I'm coming into college next year, and I'm like, I got something for y'all. So I definitely agree with that, man. What you said.
Absolutely, man. So, moving over from summer league, man, we're gonna jump into our last topic, man. As we continue to discuss the NBA, because we had a break last week due to the holiday. Of course, there was a lot of breaking news and player movement, man, between trades and free agency. So, of course, man, Nick, I'm gonna just ask you flat out, who do you feel like won, free agency?
Man, it's tough. I mean, you can go in many different directions. I mean, obviously, Paul George in Philly was pretty dope. Um, Actually, I'll probably just go with that one. I mean, I think Philly getting a huge addition. Obviously, I mean, like I know Paul George gets a lot of scrutiny, for his playoff disappointments and then him just, not always being 100% healthy. But I mean, when you're able to acquire a guy of that caliber, I mean, I think that's definitely big, and I think there's a lot of pressure on him and Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is still yet to make a conference finals. I mean, and he's watched a lot of his peers kind of surpass him. Like, hell, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown just won an NBA championship. And I want to say he's already been in the league before. He was in the league before both of those guys. So this is a big year for him. And on top of that, I mean, he's played with a lot of great players. I mean, Jimmy Butler, James Harden, and the list can just go on. Ben Simmons as well, back when he was playing with them. So I think now him and Paul George, I think they need to be motivated going into this year. And then, of course, you got a young gun next to y'all as well, and Tyrese Maxey, who had a really great season this past year. And I think that he's only going to be able to capitalize off of that. So that'll probably be my favorite, just because, I mean, I am a Paul George fan. I think that when he is healthy, he is an elite two-way player. But they just got to put all the pieces together, and they just got to be healthy.
JP, since he started with the Sixers, man, let's hear from you.
First off, I like to say I have to write a Daryl Morey apology letter. I have to start off, Daryl. I'm very, very sorry for doubting you. I mean, especially at JJ. JJ got me into that, getting on you and stuff about you not doing nothing. But man, the Sixers, man, they did their thing. They did their thing. I heard they signed Kyle Lowry today to a 1-year deal. I like that for the veterans minimum. He come in there and mentor the players. And also, I heard they're in talks maybe getting Marcus Morris as well, who I think would be the key, who I think is going to be a very good addition as well. I think if Marcus Morris was on this team last year against the Knicks, they would have had a shot to beat the Knicks, because that brought them more length for the team. Paul George, at first I was a little like, I don't know, but then I'm sold on Paul George, man, because one of the things is He's not going to be the second option. He's going to be the third option. So he should thrive off that. He should definitely still be a 20.67 rebound, 6-7 rebounds a game. He's going to be very good, man. I like the Martin pickup they had too.
That's big too.
That was big. That was big, man. He could shoot. He's a Boston killer. That's what I love, man. He's a thorn in Boston's side, and we need that. We signing Kelly Oubre. We signing getting Andre Drummond back. Man, I give the Sixers an A-, man. Almost close to an A for what they did. But once again, it comes down to one person and one person only. It comes down to Joel, Hans, and B. Can he stay healthy? Look, we gonna keep it a buck, man. We saw it last night, man. He ain't in shape, man, if he play right now. He barely had lift last night. And I'm not going to afford him for that. It's just off season. He's played himself back into shape. But, man, if we can get Joel Embiid healthy throughout the year, throughout the playoffs, the Sixers can beat anybody. They can beat anybody. They can win the championship easily. I'm saying it now, easily. He played well against the Knicks on one leg. One leg last year against the Knicks. He played very well. But the completely healthy Joel Embiid through the playoffs, man, I'm telling you right now, I'm getting ready for my parade on Broad Street. But it's up to him now to stay healthy. I don't care if Joel Embiid misses 30 games this year, or even to sit out some games, just to be sitting them out. I don't care about that. Let him sit out his 30 games. If he plays, 52 or maybe 20 games, whatever. He plays 60 games. We have enough firepower to withstand that this year. Last year we didn't, but now we do. So, I'm just hoping that we get a healthy Joel Embiid throughout the whole year, and I need to see my parade on Broad Street.
Let me ask you this real quick, JP. As far as Embiid not being fully in shape, as far as what you saw last night. So my question is, what's his excuse, honestly? Because he's had a couple months off now. Philly got bounced in the first round, and he knew that this was coming. So I want to know what the excuse is. Not being ready, not being in shape.
Man, they say he loves to eat. That's what they say, right? He loves to eat and stuff. And I don't know how his eating habits are now, but I remember reading back in the day. They said he used to eat like 4 chicken sandwiches, 4 large fries, and like 3 or 4 like milkshakes. And then I remember when when he first came to the league, they said he used to make like a full picture of Shirley Temples and stuff. So man, people understand when you eat like that shit catches up to you, man. It catches up to you.
It does.
I think too, like the fact that he's typically ending his season injured. Like I feel like where some guys like they just continue to try to stay in shape instead of getting in shape. I feel like he just like instead of doing what he can, he just like you said, maybe he likes to eat, but he also just takes more time off than maybe he normally would or should, because he's more times than not ending his season, from injury. So hopefully he can be healthy, man. I like what Philly did, listen, man, bringing Oubre back on a team-friendly deal was major, getting Drummond back to address the rebounding issues when Embiid's not on the court, even I don't know how much he plays. He probably won't play much at all, but even if Bona gets thrown out there, that's a guy that hustles and rebounds, McCain is a big one. I think he was this year's like Tyrese Maxey, a guard that can contribute right away that slipped some on draft night. Philly did great. And I know JP, like, as far as the Paul George thing, it was more about the age than anything else. But you hit it on the head. If he's your third best player, you're better than the majority of the league, So that's
right. And Will, I'm gonna say another thing too. Look, even without Joel Embiid, this is at least a 45-win team. At least 45. I would say 50, 45 to 50 win team with Maxey and Paul George, and then you throw in everybody else. It's still a playoff team. So that's what I'm saying. Joel Embiid can take time off during the regular season. We have enough weapons now where we can hold the fort down and even still vie for that number 1 seed until he comes back. He doesn't need to play 82 games. Give me 6 and a healthy Joel Embiid in the playoffs. Let's throw the ball up against anybody.
Who's your backup big now? Because I know Paul Reed had just walked in.
Yeah,
Drummond.
Andre Drummond.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's a good pickup too.
Very good pickup.
Mm-hmm. So Sixers definitely did their thing in the off season, man. You know, I gotta give Sam Presti, a slight apology. Now the only reason I say that I'm a big Presti supporter, but watching the draft, I was kind of furious, man. OKC, they have a lot of contributors at the guard and wing positions. So watching that draft, I'm seeing guys like Edie, Khalil Ware, Dayron Holmes, Eves Missy get picked up. I'm just like, I mean, what we gonna do, man? And like besides Chet, and Chet's like a hybrid big. You know what I mean? Like, seeing that Dallas series, it was a glaring exposure to just how badly we needed a real, contributing force in the paint that could rebound, and be a paint deterrence man outside Chet. So seeing them get, some very talented guys, but a bunch of guards in the draft, I was pissed to be honest with you, man. Like, I thought at 12 we could have grabbed any of those big men that I just named, and they picked Topic, mind you, very talented guy, he's not going to probably play at all this year, but for the future, that's a great pick. But when free agency opened up and they said Presti was flying to meet with Hartenstein, man, listen, all my concerns, all my rage went away. And when the news came out that we signed him, because the Knicks couldn't really afford to give him what he could get on his market after getting Bridges, re-signing Brunson and OG, man, bro, talk about when we talked about it before, certain players, they're not all stars, they'll never be all stars, but they're a perfect fit, at least on paper right now for your team. He brings size, he's mobile at that size, a true 7 foot, like 250. He plays defense, he's a lob threat, and he can score a little bit, and he's an underrated passer. I think he averaged like 4 assists a game from the 5, so throwing him out there, I don't know how they're going to do it. I would assume he starts along with Chet, and then they can kind of stagger some minutes at the 5 depending on matchups. But moving Chet hopefully to his true position and Jalen Williams as well, because at 6'5", 6'6", he didn't need to be playing the 4. I think OKC, they were already the 1 seed in the West, man. Like, they bring back pretty much everybody, and my biggest win in the offseason is getting Josh Giddey off my team. He's a complete non, almost non-factor offensively, and in the playoffs that really showed, when the game slowed down. So I'm glad to, get more guys that I think, will be kind of like, your Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah Joe's, kind of like where, the casual fans aren't really aware of what they can do, but they're ready to contribute maybe from day one. And then also just, giving more opportunity to guys like Case and Wallace, keeping Dort, getting Alex Caruso, and now Hartenstein.
Hartenstein's a big pickup. I'll admit, man, he's a big pickup, and I think that he really played a big role in New York. Because people forget, I mean, Mitchell Robinson missed a good amount of time last year, and Hartenstein stepped up to the plate, as a big, being able to protect the rim, being able to rebound, being able to do a multitude of things to help that team keep afloat. So, during the offseason, I mean, it was only bound that he was going to get a large amount of money. And, thank God, OKC was able to pick him up, and that's a huge addition. That is a huge addition, especially for a guy that can back up Chet Holmgren. Aside from the Philly move, getting PG, I like DeMar DeRozan going to Sacramento. I don't know if it really elevates them as like a legitimate contender, but I mean DeRozan is still good. I mean, he averaged around nearly 25 a game, and I want to say he led the league in minutes last year as well. So he clearly shows, even at his age, that he could still play at a very high level. And you combine him with De'Aaron Fox, Samantas Sabonis, Malik Monk, and the rest of that team. I mean, that team should definitely be at least at least top 6, honestly, in the Western Conference. I mean, especially in the tough Western Conference. So we'll just have to see. But DeMar DeRozan's a big pickup for them. Obviously, Klay Thompson going to Dallas. I'm really interested to see, how he plays next to Luka and Kyrie. I think he's going to get a lot of really good looks, especially with those two primary dominant ball handlers. So I'm really interested in that as well. So, I mean, there was a lot of good offseason moves, honestly.
Man, you hit it on the head, bro. I think the big Rosen move is that it will help save Aaron Fox's leg in the fourth quarter. He had to do so much, like this past season. A lot of times down the stretch, you could tell he was gassed. But bringing in DeRozan, who also was right there leading the league in fourth quarter points, is going to be major for them in that regard. Go ahead, JP.
Oh, yeah, man. I agree with everything you said. I think that the top teams in the West actually got better. And I think OKC next year might be the favorites to come out of the West. Because, not only Hartenstein, also getting Caruso, who's a dog on an all defender. He can score a little bit. He can leap. They're going to be good. Klay Thompson was huge with Dallas. He gave him much more needed firepower out there. And I think you're going to see a motivated Klay Thompson. If he comes close to what he used to be, man, they could possibly even win it all, man. If he comes close to what he used to be. We haven't seen that Klay Thompson in a while. Minnesota, they got better. Rob Dillingham and Anthony Edwards, that backcourt in about 2 or 3 years going to be the most exciting one of the most exciting backcourts, maybe, I'm going to say it, maybe the most exciting backcourt we might have ever seen in the NBA. I'm talking about with the acrobatic stuff they could do, the ball handling, the leaping ability. Man, that backcourt's going to be dynamic. And Sacramento, I like what they did with DeRozan. I expect them to be top 4 or 5, with DeRozan, Keegan Murray, Sabonis, of course, De'Aaron Fox. That's a nice core they got there, man. So, I'm looking forward, man. The West, once again, is stacked up.
Hey, JP, let me ask you one question.
Mm-hmm.
How excited are you to see your boy, the next one, Wembanyama, with a real point guard?
His point average is going to go up about 5 or 6 points a game, maybe even more. Huh?
I think it might go up 10 points.
If you talk about 10 points,
how much he averaged this past year?
21. You talk about 30, 31 points a game.
So I'll make it simple. Like literally just off the strength, he has the most willing passer in the NBA. Right? You look at Wemby when he runs down the court and goes like this. There's literally no one that can stop him from getting the ball. But just to be real, Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell, they ain't always want to give him the ball. They looked them off a lot of times, and you got probably the best alley-oop passer ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, but Chris Paul can easily get him 4 to 5 more good looks. You know what I'm saying? In transition and in the half court when he cuts down the lane. Like, he's literally the only player in the league that is technically open with defenders around him because of what his reach is. That's the only reason I say I feel like he could legit add 10 more points. 31 is a good bit of points, but he got 21 without the only real playmaker on the team was Trey Jones.
Yeah. Hey, Will, I'm gonna tell you another thing too. If they get Laurie Markkanen to go along with that, they're going to be I'm not going to say they're going to be championship contenders, but they're going to be a serious playoff team.
I feel like Ainge is just using Markkanen just to see what he can get.
I think Stephon Castle. I think Stephen Castle. I think he's going to have a great rookie year too. Playing.
Oh, he's going to be really good.
Yeah, and with Chris Paul as a mentor, man, look, we already know the future's. San Antonio will be one of the teams to beat in the future. That OKC, Minnesota, San Antonio in the future, man, those 3 teams are going to be battling it out, bro. They're going to be battling out every year coming out the West.
Yeah, and they're interesting because they're gonna win games, present day, but also in 5-6 years down the road they're still gonna be doing their thing. So You know,
Yes, they are. Hey man, real quick. Before I know we about to shut it down in a minute, man. Hey, I just wanted to say, man, boy, rest in peace and condolences, man, to I think the young man was it Kyrie Jackson for the Minnesota Vikings that got killed in a car accident last weekend.
yeah.
And his two teammates, two of his former high school teammates. And that's one of the saddest, most tragic things I've heard in a minute. And the two teammates that was all three of them, we're not, and I don't mean no disrespect with this. We're not talking about no average high school football stars. We're talking about three major players that were killed in a car accident. Kyrie King was in the NFL. He's going to play in Minnesota this year. They expected pretty good things from him this year. I forget the other two young men's name. I know one with Florida State and one with the Maryland. Bruh, I mean, we know the families are hurting. We know the families are really hurting. Could you picture being their high school coach, knowing that these three young men led you to 3 state championships, and you find out what happened to them like this? That would be like devastating to hear something like that.
I mean, it's devastating for the coach. It's devastating for their whole community.
Yeah, it's devastating for the community. Yeah.
They meant a lot to a lot of people, man. Inspiration. This is the loss of life or something like this.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this. I don't know when you don't go into this, man. But drunk driving is one of the most selfish ass shit you could do, man. This day and age where you got Uber, where you got everything. I heard it was a 23-year-old young lady who actually was drunk driving and killed him. I mean, how stupid can you be? How dumb can you be? Especially this day and age when you have Uber and have all these other resources available to you, but people continue to do stupid shit that not only affects victims' lives, but affects your life and your family's life as well. It's one of the most selfish acts you could do.
1000%. Absolutely. All right, so we're going to close it on out. Good brother Nick, we appreciate you joining us, man. Go ahead and kick the shout-outs.
Yes, sir, man. First and foremost, man, appreciate you guys for bringing me on, man. It's always a pleasure talking hoops with you guys, man. And y'all already know, man, once y'all send the invite again, y'all already know I'm about to be back on, man. But make sure to follow me on X at Nick Andre ATR. Make sure to check out my 2 podcasts. First one's For the Love of the Game. Follow that one on X at Love of TGB Ball. And make sure to just check out my other podcast titled Believe in Florida State Basketball, where I cover everything Florida State basketball related. So yeah, be on the tune for that. Some other content I got coming up, man. I have a new series coming out. It's titled Mamba Files, year 2024, dedication to Kobe Bryant, man. So please be in tune for that. That'll be out next month, man. And aside from that, man, just be in tune for everything else.
Absolutely. And with the shout outs, man, JP, I'm gonna knock mine out, bro, and let you close it out. But my first shout out gotta be Nick, man. I know I said this before on Twitter, but I just feel like I should say it for the listeners in the show. And it's not because he's here, but when I think about, basketball content creation, I know there's a lot of people that you see on various platforms, but, with my own eyes and ears, like, I don't think that there's anybody, more knowledgeable or more hardworking than this brother Nick Andre right here, man. Multiple podcasts. He writes, he's featured on damn near any show, you could think of, you know what I'm saying? And he loves the grind, like, free agency is going on. He's literally, got an episode out at 12:30 a.m. after Paul George signs, when I say he's on it. And, when you talk paid opportunities, all these platforms out there, if you bet on somebody, you bet on somebody that knows what they're talking about, but also loves it. And this is your God. You bring a Nick Andre on your team, you hitting a home run, and I sincerely mean that, brother. You got big things ahead of you.
Nah, I appreciate that, man, for sure. I really do. Yeah.
Then my other shout out, man, this one is a more somber shout out, but I want to give a shout out, to Buster Harper, from Lawnside, New Jersey, where I come from, the OG, the patriarch of the Harper family. You know, he passed away yesterday. You know, lived a long, full life. You know, but he was a people's person. Had over 60 years of service with the fire company, and you know, touched way more people than we ever could know. You know, in a positive light. You know what I'm saying? No pause needed there. So shout out to Buster, man. We got another angel looking over us, man. And JP, over to you, my dog.
Oh man, yeah, definitely my condolences to this stuff, man. And I wonder if his family definitely knew my family. If he was there for over 60 years, he definitely probably knew my family and stuff that you know, it was just they're from the same town and everything. Definitely had to know him. Yeah, man. Of course, shouts to the brother Nick. As always, good having you on with us, brother. You know, one of the most knowledgeable minds I know about the game of basketball. Always love talking hoops with you, man. And of course, shouts to, of course, the co-pilot here. Also, basketball guru himself, Mr. Will Lyons, right here, man.
Brother, there's a lot coming from you.
Yes, indeed. And real quick, well, I guess we give people a little slight preview next week. Next week, it will be focused on track and field next week, y'all, especially with track and field coming up, I think next weekend or during that Monday, track and field starts. So we'll be focused on that. And also, we have a special guest with us. Not going to tell you who, not going to tell you the year. But we have a special guest with us who was on, in my opinion, the greatest sports team in sports history. Wait till you hear this one next week. So on behalf of my boy Will, my boy Nick, we say peace. And we look forward to seeing y'all and hearing from y'all next week. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah.